how was a normal day? How did it look like before you were an entrepreneur?
A normal day look like, it's the same old school, college, lots of masti. I was extremely naughty back in school and college both. And I very quickly realized that I'm not too passionate towards jewelry. My family's into antique jewelry, so we buy from royal families and sell in auctions around the world. That's the niche. I was very curious about electronics and tech products. That curiosity towards technology led me to go to a place in Las Vegas called Consumer Electronics Show. I spoke to those people at CES, all these manufacturers who had their stalls. I asked them, where are you making these products? Everyone's answer was Shenzhen, China. And I stumbled upon an innovation center there.
Okay.
Sourabh, at that innovation center, you give them any idea across categories. 6 घंटे में वो लोग वो आइडिया का प्रोटोटाइप कैसे भी बना देंगे. I think that's been the best learning I've had working with around 800 Chinese engineers trying to invent products. I came back and I started this company called Flintstop, which was my first startup. At Flintstop, we used to essentially invent products. We used to invent products like an alarm clock that might slap you on your face to wake you up.
Did you get some support from your family, or how did you navigate those challenges?
Sure. I think I'd taken a 5 lakh rupee loan from my father, which was inclusive of my China trip, right? So I spent around 2 lakhs in China and 3 lakhs remaining to start my business.
A majority of people of my age, they believe that these conferences might not have a lot of things to offer.
Yeah.
So what do you think, do you think that these, going to these expos or conferences actually add some tangible benefits? Hello everyone, welcome to the 0.5 show powered by the 1% MBA, which is me of course, and I am your founder and host Sourabh Chaudhary. Today guys, we have a very wonderful personality, very dynamic, a person who has worn so many hats throughout his career, Mr. Tejas from Myntmore. I would love for you to introduce yourself and your business, please.
Sure. Thanks for having me here firstly. Super excited to be here. About my current business, we run a B2B lead gen company powered by AI agents. Our goal is to help B2B businesses mint more money, which is where Myntmore comes in. How we do it is we have sophisticated AI agents which we use on for outreach through LinkedIn and cold emailing to help any B2B business with meetings, whether you're a SaaS company or a manufacturing company or a services company.
Okay.
Our goal is to get you guys more meetings.
Wonderful. So we all know that you have been involved in multiple startups and you've been the founder of majority of them. So before all the startups and the glamour, how was your life? How were you growing up?
I think good question. I've always grown up around entrepreneurs. We are a 200-year-old jewelry brand. So conversations growing up were always dinner conversations, lunch conversations were around firefighting issues where my father or my grandfather would discuss a certain challenge in the business, or whether it's attrition, or whether it's how to empower your team or how to motivate them. So growing up, those were the problems I was listening to through and through.
Okay.
I always knew at an early age that entrepreneurship karna hai. And I in fact started early on in school. I used to sell video game softwares, Pokemon cards, Livestrong bands. Wow. I used to be that hacky person giving softwares and cracks of games and all of that.
Right.
So I knew I wanted to always do entrepreneurship.
So how was a normal day? How did it look like before you were an entrepreneur?
So I started when I was 19. Before that, I think it was a normal day look like, it's the same old school, college, lots of masti. I was extremely naughty back in school and college both. Very, very, very curious. And I think the naughtiness with the curiosity leads to a lot of explosions out there. So I think when I started, I was really young. I was 19 years old. I joined the family business.
Okay.
And I very quickly realized that I'm not too passionate towards jewelry. Okay. My family's into antique jewelry. So we buy from royal families and sell in auctions around the world. That's the niche. Wow. I tried it for a bit, honestly, 8-10 months. And very quickly realized that maybe it's not my cup of tea. Let's try doing something different. I was very curious about electronics and tech products. As a kid, I've got a lot of scolding from my parents because I used to open up the TV, I would open up a radio, AC भी रहता, खोल देता, पीछे क्या हो रहा है, अंदर क्या हो रहा है. I would always break things and try to fix them. I never did engineering. Now that I look back, maybe that would really help me. But that curiosity towards technology led me to go to a place in Las Vegas called Consumer Electronics Show, CES. So I literally saw a room filled with like flying cars out there. I also saw a robot. It has a helmet. You also wear the helmet. Yeah. You think of any of three things, right? You can think of whether the robot has to say hi to you, lift a glass, or shake your hand. If you think any one of those things, the robot does it. And that kind of blew my mind on how is the robot kind of being able to understand what you're thinking. And I spoke to those people at CES, all these manufacturers who had their stalls.
Yeah.
I asked them, where are you making these products? Everyone's answer was Shenzhen, China. Anything electronic, I think Shenzhen is the place to go to. So I took a 5 lakh rupee loan and I went to Shenzhen, China. And I was pretty young, right? I was 19. I was inexperienced. I was naive, immature as well at that age. And I stumbled upon an innovation center there.
Okay.
Sort of at that innovation center, you give them any idea across categories. 6 घंटे में वो लोग वो idea का prototype कैसे भी बना देंगे. While we're in this room, let's think of idea together. I wish there was a alarm clock which flies around in the room. So when I need to wake up, I wake up and I catch the alarm clock and put it back on the dock. Just random idea just came right now, right? While we spoke. So if you tell this idea to the innovation center, they will first validate. If they find it viable, they will prototype within 6 hours guaranteed. And that blew my mind. And I spoke to the founder of that innovation center and I told him, boss, I have nothing to add in terms of value because I'm inexperienced.
Yeah.
But I would love to work for you. Visa back then was 6 months. And I told him I would love to work for you for free. He was very kind to let me work, for him. And I think that's been the best learning I've had, working with around 800 Chinese engineers trying to invent products. I understood a lot about design thinking, how to invent, so on and so forth. That's where the journey and that seed came in my mind that I want to start something in this space, which is when I came back and I started this company called Flintstop, which was my first startup. I was around 20 then. At Flintstop, we used to essentially invent products. The model was simple. We used to take ideas from our audience.
Okay.
If we found the idea viable, we would prototype it in our office in Bombay and then contract manufacture from China and then sell online and offline around the world.
Okay.
We used to invent products like an alarm clock that might slap you on your face to wake you up, or a backpack. You press a button, it turns into a tent. It has a power bank, an AC, and a speaker all inside it. So very quirky, innovative products. So I think that's where the journey was from curiosity, which led me to go to China, understand, and then I started the first company.
So Flintstop, you mentioned it started in October of 2014, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. So you had no e-commerce business, experience at that time, no operational experience.
Right.
So how were the first few months been for you? Like, how was it? Did you get some support from your family, or how did you navigate those challenges?
For sure. So yeah, I think I'd taken a 5 lakh rupee loan from my father, which was inclusive of my China trip, right? So I spent around 2 lakhs in China, 3 lakhs remaining to start my business.
Okay.
So I think my family has been my biggest backbone. I think they're extremely encouraging. They've always supported me end to end in terms of being with me, standing with me, telling me it's all okay. This too shall pass.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship has its ups and downs. Not every time is it going to be always rosy. So I would say the starting 2-3 years was very tough because with a very limited amount, I was trying to build something. E-commerce wasn't that big then.
Yeah.
So I would say the first few months, it was me with a backpack with lots of products in it, which I had got from China. I used to just go door to door in Bombay and in different cities where there were a lot of stores for electronics, stationery, so on and so forth. I got a lot of my early customers from there. It was e-commerce wasn't a big thing, as I mentioned, right? Shopify wasn't there. There was something called Zeppo back then, Zeppo.in, like a Shopify.
Yes.
So I made my website. There was a shitty website, man. It was loading in like 12 seconds. I didn't know a website should load in 1 second. I didn't know how to create that trust on that website. So I built a website, started sharing it in my network. And suddenly we started getting orders. And I'm like, wow, this machine can work. It was working at a low scale in the first few months.
Right.
Then we started selling on eBay, Amazon, so on and so forth. And we got early traction from there to eventually get people onto the website. So we should do a lot of pop-ups and stalls in colleges, in exhibitions like the Little Flea or other aspects like that. And my family has been with me through and through as a support. My father and my mother and my sister have been my true salesmen through and through. My sister is 11 years younger than me. So I was 20 back then and she must be like 9 years old, right? So I've made her do a lot of child labor. She used to also help me at exhibitions, make feedback calls for customers. This 10-year-old kid is calling customers like, hi ma'am, how do you like a product? What's the feedback you have for us? So she also early on jumped on the boat to do child labor and help me out in the previous company. So I think my family has been my biggest support for sure.
That is wonderful. And plus the most interesting thing is that, you spent the majority of your money that you got into conferences and the expos. This is something that came to my mind actually. So जैसे अभी भारत मंडपम में there was this AI summit that happened. Me being an enthusiast, I did not think anything, and then मैं बस ऐसे ही चला गया just because I thought कि I'll learn something new. Of course I did. A majority of people of my age, they believe that these conferences might not have a lot of things to offer.
Yeah.
So what do you think, like, do you think that these going to these expos or conferences actually add some tangible benefits?
Lots of it, man, because I think as human beings we thrive on other people,
Yeah.
and energy transfer is a real deal, right? When you go to these expos and you network with people, I think one is it inspires you, b they get to know about you. I've made a lot of friends in expos.
Yeah.
I've hired a lot of people from there. I've got my customers also from there. I've got some investors also at these expos. So you never know what a conversation can lead to in life, right? So I think it's very important for us to be out there everywhere, learn as much as we can from each other at all points, and be out there as much as possible. So I think expos are super duper helpful.
Helpful, of course, for networking as well.
Absolutely.
So, okay, Tejas, I have a very interesting question to ask you. What is that one hobby that you have that could be considered extremely unexpected out of you? Like, what the hell? वैसा वाला कोई hobby है?